Lil Pump was on top of the rap world when he was a huge figure in the SoundCloud era of rap back in 2017, and his hits like Gucci Gang and Boss made him a household name. But as of 2022, Lil Pump wasn't even able to sell 1,000 copies in the first week release of his new album titled No Name, and has basically disappeared from the spotlight that he once had. Not only that, but Lil Pump has been having some alleged money problems that may surprise some people. How could someone go from being one of the hottest rappers out and then suddenly falling off to the point of being non existent, as well as potentially going broke? Well, before we answer that question, we first have to briefly go over how Lil Pump had his rise to fame. The rapper released his first official track titled Lil Pump back in 2016, which would debut on SoundCloud. The track stood out from other music due to its shockingly unclever, catchy, and repetitive lyrics, as well as having lazy and almost incoherent pronunciation in his words. This style would later fall into a genre of what many fans call mumble rap, and it would prove to be a sound that would catch the public eye, since his tracks D-Rose and Boss would blow up in 2017 and gain millions of plays each. On top of this, Lil Pump's bright-colored hair, along with his bizarre face tattoos, made him stand out and would be a huge trend that interested a younger audience. Several months after the rapper started to gain traction, he would release his single, Gucci Gang, which was the most extreme case of mumble rap. But it worked, and made Pump's popularity skyrocket. Gucci Gang peaked at number 3 on Billboard's Hot 100 chart, and has over 1 billion views on YouTube, as well as being a 5-time platinum-selling track. It was a massive hit song amongst teenagers. Meanwhile, older rappers and fans bashed Lil Pump for the song's repetitiveness and lack of creative vision. The hate didn't stop him though, since a couple of months after Gucci Gang was put out, Lil Pump released his self-titled album, which sold 46,000 copies first week. It debuted at number 3 on the Billboard 200 chart. It was an impressive first album in terms of commercial success, and for most rappers, this would mark the beginning of a superstar career. But for Lil Pump, it would be his peak, and he'd never be able to recreate this popularity again. Sure, he had a few singles that charted, but his second album, Harvard Dropout, debuted at 7 on the Billboard 200 chart, which is pretty low compared to his first album. Not only that, but Harvard Dropout only sold 48,000 in the first week, which is only 2,000 more than his first album. And Harvard Dropout had major promotion as well as big features from Kanye West, Lil Wayne, and even Lil Uzi Vert. After his second album flopped, Lil Pump laid low and didn't put out much music besides a single here and there. That was until he released an album about a month ago, which flopped so hard that it didn't even break 1,000 sales in the first week. The only reason Lil Pump was even in headlines was because of how bad the album performed and how shocked fans were since nobody even knew the project existed. What could have caused Lil Pump to fall off this hard? Well, there's several reasons why, but one of them is because his style of rapping was just a trend that grew old and became something that most people weren't interested in anymore. After all, most of Pump's audience was young teenagers. So when those fans grew up, they got tired of the same repetitive and bland music. While other SoundCloud rappers were able to diversify their sound, Pump never really tried any style outside of what blew him up. Not only that, but Pump would often do crazy stuff on social media in order to promote himself. He'd go to the extremes to get attention with things like beefing with J. Cole, flexing ridiculous amounts of money, and doing any other crazy thing that you could think about. It worked at first, but after a while, the shock value of his antics went away, and people just stopped caring about what he did online, which made Pump become irrelevant as time went on. Besides the rapper's musical falloff, he might be in financial trouble as well. And that's not just a rumor. Back in June, Rap Radar reported that federal court documents accuse Lil Pump of owing the IRS about $90,000 for unpaid taxes stemming from 2019. He responded by simply saying that it wasn't true and that his watch or chain alone is worth more than that, and for people to not play about his name. But this wouldn't be the only money problem to come up, since it was reported that Lil Pump once again owed money to the IRS, although this time he owed a whopping $1.6 million in unpaid taxes. Court documents claim that back in October, a lien was placed on Lil Pump's $5 million mansion in Miami, and that if the rapper doesn't pay the IRS the money owed, then they'll claim his property. Whether Lil Pump is going broke or is just incredibly irresponsible with filing his taxes is unknown at the moment, since the story only broke out a couple months ago. But the one thing that is for sure is that the rapper will never regain the popularity that he once had.